Episode 149 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by, apparently, my laptop microphone. Hope this sounds okay. It's just for the intro, I promise. Okay, in all seriousness, we are brought to you by our Patreon supporters. You can support the show directly by going to patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. And our supporter of the week is Caradoc. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. This intro really got off the rails. Hey, it's how we're ending this year. Go big or go home.
Welcome to episode 149 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and joined with me is Magpie.
Hello, what's good?
Hey guys, Dills from the future here. A few things I want to point out with this episode because things kind of got out of hand. Things got a little squirrely on this episode. First things first, this episode was supposed to come out December 24th. On the 23rd, it was basically ready, but then my laptop crashed and I lost the saved file. On top of that, specifically my audio file corrupted and it sounded all fucked up, so I did my best to restore it. Here we are, January 3rd. I finally got into the point where it's as good as it's going to get without me just scrapping this episode entirely. So if I sound a little bit drunk or a bit like a robot, I don't really know how to fix that without screwing other things up. And if the timing's a bit off and there's weird pauses, it's just because I don't know what happened. Well, anyways, here it is. Enjoy. New year, new me, right? We start the year off strong. So what are we're going to talk about? Last episode, we covered everything Twisted Leagues related. This episode is basically covering everything else that we've missed. So that's a lot of Nightmare of Ashiyama, the Christmas event, and I guess a lot of smaller updates. Sound about right?
As well as the servers being their usual self, I guess.
Yeah. And they did some tweaking to some of the Twisted Leagues rewards. Well, not all. We'll get into that, but. And then for community chatter, some fun data and some fun information about Twisted Leagues, and a Jagex employee gets canned, and we'll tell you why when we get there. He read some information he shouldn't have read, let's just say. But we'll dive into all of that stuff. Magpie, what have you been up to? I think last episode we talked about IRL gains and Twisted League gains. What else have you been up to?
Let's see. IRL, just a quick update. I got my exam results. I think I did okay. I did well. So I got the score I wanted.
So this exam was to get into a law school?
Yeah, it's literally called the law school admissions test.
Nice.
And I pretty much hit like the score that's the median score for the top schools that I want to go to. So we'll see how it goes. It doesn't mean I'm getting in necessarily, but
you got a pretty good chance.
I also mentioned, I'd like to think so. I mean, I also noted that I help host a podcast.
Sick.
So if any admissions officers track me down, hey, what's good, guys? Please don't go back and watch me embarrass myself in the last 10 episodes. But
this one forward.
Yeah, exactly. Other than that, let's see. In game, I did a couple top speed runs actually, which are pretty nice. I don't do really sweaty speed raids too much, but those were pretty fun.
So when you say a speed run, that means you and your top tier friends, you guys get in a group and you're like, all right, no dicking around. Let's see what we can do. Let's break some records.
A little bit. Well, it's not like they're my top tier friends. That makes it sound like I prefer them or anything, which isn't really the case. It's just we're all online and we're like, you know what? There's 5 of us right now. Why don't we just go for speed and see what happens?
Uh-huh.
And we got a sub 16-minute run, which isn't the greatest, but it's pretty decent.
And this is Theater of Blood.
This is Theater of Blood, yeah. And it's nice because the meta is so cool when you get into the speedy realm.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're learning Theater of Blood, everybody takes Ancients. Everybody, you have one person freezing 2 of the South Nilos in the maiden room, and one person freezing the other 2, and then one person freezing 2 of the North ones, and the other person freezing the other 2 North ones. 'Cause normally there's 4 spawns, but for speeds, if you're doing like 4s or 5s, the objective is basically to have as many people on lunars as possible. So you can even get away with having just one person freeze everything in the room, pretty much.
Okay.
One person freezes all of what's called like all of South, and then you do something called machine gun 1-2 North, which means literally everyone else switches to their blowpipe, and they just like pew pew the daylights out of 2 of the North spawns, the first 2, and then the 3rd and 4th ones get clumped together, so they get frozen at the same time.
Okay.
And then you just do a bunch of cool shit, like you venge off prayer, and you try and 2 down bloat, 1 down bloat if you want to go for the absolute fastest run and stuff. But it's nice. It's pretty fun once you get into it. I really like chill speeds, as it were, like not super efficient, but not like with learner setups and stuff. And I like helping people. I'm a mage main, so I was the guy bringing in ancients.
So only for the speed run is it that like most of your group is bringing lunars, and that's just so that they can sacrifice some of their health, but you know, it's like kind of like how you do it with Zalra. In return, you're able to finish the raid faster.
Well, even when we're not going for speed, I still prefer like everyone having lunars, pretty much, except for the mage, because it helps out a lot. It saves you a lot of inventory spots because, okay, when you bring in lunars, you have at least one person bringing in pot share runes as well as vengeance.
Oh, okay.
And what that means is it saves 2 inventory spots for everyone else because you don't need a ranging potion anymore, because they can pot share you a ranging potion for the Nilo boss, which is the only time you need to range technically.
Okay.
And they also pot share you a stamina potion at different points in the raid. So you automatically, like, especially for me, when I bring in all my gear, I have 3 brews on me to take into Verzik. So it's really helpful to have somebody who can pot share me a stamina and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in return, like, I handle the freezing at Maiden, I handle the Nilos, I freeze the pillars and stuff. So it's nice because everyone has their set role, and it's like you do your part to help the team. And you're either pot sharing or you're venging people. Some people, like one of my friends that I play with, I really like how he does range, where he always pot shares restores. So you just keep your prayer up the whole time because he can always give you like extra prayer points when you're next to him.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So it's nice. It's a pretty cool like strategy. But other than that, I got my first item in like months, literally. Probably because I have been doing like a raid every other day or something, but I got a deck scroll and a learner in a Chambers of Zarek learner.
What are those going for nowadays? Let me check.
Literally like 2 mil. No, not really. They're going for like 40 mil.
mil. What's happening?
Yeah, I have no idea. I guess it's just a lot of people are learning Chambers and people are unlocking Rigor, so because it's like a one-time use item.
Yeah,
I guess
that's true.
The people who want it already have it. Kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
I've also been playing a lot of Skyrim recently.
Oh, nice.
I'm big into modding Skyrim, so this is the first time.
Me too.
Awesome, yeah. So I have a bunch of like screenshots. I do the thing where I like spend like 12 hours modding the daylights out of my Skyrim, and then I log in for 12 seconds, take a bunch of screenshots, and go, okay, let's go and download some more mods, and I like close the game.
That's so funny. Yeah, I did the same thing. I have I play it on. I got it for VR.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
it a long time ago, and I was like, it's gonna be so sick to play it. And then I like put it on, and I was like, let's play it. And then I was like, oh, it's fun and it's cool, but it's not immersive enough to make you feel like you're not playing, like you feel like you're there.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, it's like playing Skyrim, but you're standing up the whole time, and my legs hurt.
Damn.
But I found this list of like, it was like a mod list of this is how you can make it as immersive as possible. And there was like 250 mods, and I like am slowly going through and downloading all of them.
Definitely. I really like modding it for more immersion. Some people like modding it so that you get like dragons that are Thomas the Tank engines and stuff, and you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Spider-Man, which is like, I guess it's fun in its own way, but it's not really for me. I like modding the graphics, making everything look super, super cool, and then just like having more immersion. So I add a bunch of NPCs into the towns and add a bunch more dialogue options. And then it's also just
Sick.
like a quality of life thing as well. Because like once you go back to vanilla Skyrim, you realize like it's like going from RuneLight back to vanilla old school, and you're like, wow, I can't even like tag NPCs, or I can't even like use bank tags anymore. What is this?
Yeah. No, yeah, there's a lot of things that like it's
Yeah.
crazy the amount of mods there are. There's mods that are like it'll change the whole game.
Yeah.
It'll bring it like I know there's a Morrowind mod.
Yeah.
I remember way back I was looking for, and there was one that was in the making. It was like a Game of Thrones mod, so it just kind of
Oh,
changed the landscape to Westeros.
that's pretty cool. I didn't hear about that one. I know there's
I don't
mod that
know.
literally is like a separate game.
What do you mean?
It's called like Enderall.
Oh, that's where they remake an older Oblivion game, right?
I think so. I'm not too familiar with it. Like I played it a little bit, but it's really cool because like the menus are totally different. It's like it runs on the same engine, but it's almost like if you play like Unreal Engine games or Gary's Mod games, it's like two separate experiences altogether. Like when you go from Team Fortress 2 into, I don't know, like The Infected or whatever Gary's Mod games. I never really played Gary's Mod, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much it for me though. I'm about to start my Winter Todd grind again on my main as well as on my Twisted League
Oh,
account.
that's fun.
Slowly gonna work towards maxing soon, so I think I'm gonna start with fire making and cooking. Fire making, I would love to get the Phoenix pet because that's on my pet list, but
Cool.
otherwise I've been slowly buying up Karambwans and getting my fingers ready, stretching them out, ready for one tick Karambwaning to hate my life.
Okay. Here we go, boys. Time to do some
Oh
prep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, time to get some gamer
It's
sweat.
always fun. Yeah, hell yeah. It's always
But
fun.
that is it for me. I think that is a quick little update on what's been happening. So a little bit of raids, a little bit of Skyrim, and a little bit of IRL updates. But how has your week been? I know it's the holidays coming up.
Yeah, no, I've just been super busy just with like well, school's done now, and I was busy with that as I mentioned last episode. Things are kind of slow, but work's still pretty busy because we do a bunch of like these toy drives where people come in and bring toys or people have toys that you go to pick up. So every day I'm like driving to like 6 different places and filling up a van a couple times with all these toys. It's really nice to see, but
Oh damn!
pretty busy.
Do you feel like a little bit more fulfilled because you're like doing a good deed, or do you just hate it regardless? I guess that's a loaded question now because there's only one way to answer it without coming off as a massive douche.
Well, see, I don't know if I'm a terrible person, but I don't really feel fulfilled. People drop off toys. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. But then what happens is like we collect them all, and then other charities comes and picks them up from us. And I think like there's so many different lines that it goes through that I feel like I'm kind of removed from it.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're just a middleman.
yeah, and I think also like there's so many toys here and they're really cool. But when I was a child, I grew up kind of poor, like not super poor, but poor enough that we had like some charities would give me and my brothers some toys when we were really really young. Like we get some toys from like, do you know what the Lions Club is? Do you have that in the States?
I don't think so. Is it like Boy
It,
Scouts?
it's like Boy Scouts for like senior citizens.
Oh, okay.
There's like it seems to be like a Lions Club in every small town here, at least in Ontario. And they do like a bunch of fundraisers and they just do a lot of community events and all this stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
they would do a toy drive, and I'd be like, I'd get toys that were like 10 years younger, and I'd be like 10 years old. So you're getting like really, I'd get like toys that just like I was like, I'm never gonna use these, but like this is
Like
a
boomer
fun opening, I
toys.
guess. Yeah, that's right. But
Damn.
Anyways, I'm looking at the toys at the radio station. I'm like, where the fuck were these toys when I was a kid? What the hell? Nerf guns? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, dude, kids have it like kids are like really. I don't want to say they're really fortunate because like back in my day, but like I'm just really impressed by how many toys, like how many options they have. All these cool new toys, like even drones, things like that, where you have
Oh my god, yeah.
like built-in laser tag toys and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. The technology is there.
Yeah, built-in Fortnite integration as well. So
Aw, yeah. But video game wise and RuneScape wise, quickly, you were talking about modding Skyrim, and I was trying to find this other thing. And while you were talking, I was like trying to pull. So that's why I'm bringing it up now. But have you heard of Molier RS or Molio RS?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna send this to you on Discord. There's a game that was called what's it called? Winter Springs? Neverwinter. There's a game called Neverwinter that came out a while ago, but they came out with this tool set so you can create. I don't really know what the tool set is, but it allowed someone to take the engine from Neverwinter and they could kind of do whatever the hell they wanted with it. And somebody recreated RuneScape.
Oh, no way. Don't tell me this is what I think it is. No way. This is actually super cool.
It looks really cool. I'm gonna post it in the Discord for other people to check out because you're able to play it now. I don't know how much they work on it, but I remember reading about this like a year ago, maybe even more. And I don't know how much progress they made then. So you do have to purchase Neverwinter if you want to play this mod. But it looks really fucking cool.
Dude, this looks amazing. This is like what I always wanted out of a mod for Skyrim. You know, like I always, every now and then I research like, I search like Skyrim RuneScape mod or something. Because actually the build I'm going for right now, I tried to add like a scythe into the game and tried to find something that looks like Bandos. Just because I'm bored of like the whole stealth archer build. So this is like a massive, massive like fanboy experience. It actually looks like the Slayer Tower looks so dope.
And I'm looking, like I just YouTubed it. So do be super careful about this because as I look up videos on YouTube, I can't find any videos. I see a Building RS Project YouTube channel that has 1,700 subscribers and their videos have like 1,000 views. So for whatever reason, it hasn't exactly blown up. So of course, do be careful. But I know I had read it before about a year ago, and the whole thing seemed pretty legit enough that I wanted to try it, and then I forgot. But
this is so cool, dude. I'm just gonna share this and like try to figure it out.
Badass.
Yeah, dude. Maybe we can get like we can give it a shot or something. I'm gonna look into this for sure.
Yeah, now that maybe after Christmas time, we're gonna have to check it out. I have to do, I'm gonna have to do some more research on it and come back maybe like next episode to talk about it more because you reminded me when you were talking about Skyrim and then I just quickly was looking for this because I couldn't remember what it was even called, and I found the webpage. So it's moliorrs.com if you want to give it a look. Back to Skyrim real quickly. There used to be a RuneScape mod too. I remember it just had Lumbridge in the surrounding areas, but it replaced all the Skyrim skills with different RuneScape skills. So you could chop down a tree and gain levels.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I knew like in the back of my mind that there was something like that out there that I was trying to find, but
I think it was Skyrim. Cool. And I either tried it or I just watched it, but it was okay, but it was not enough that you could have fun. You'd play it and you'd be like, wow, this is cool. Now I'm never going to play this again because it's not even close to being done. But yeah. Anyways, I guess getting back on track, getting back on track of what I actually did on RuneScape. Not a whole lot because I've been playing a lot of Twisted Leagues. And I mentioned before, but I've been getting kind of burnt out on my main. All of the grinds are like super long. I was doing the Elite Diary grind, and I think I just kind of burnt myself out. maybe that's my fault for choosing 91 rune crafting as the first skill to grind out, but
Nice.
yeah, I just got
Well, you
kind
know,
of
for
bored.
the diary only need 86.
Yeah, to boost, right?
Yeah. You can
I just
also
I
do it at 89 for a more consistent boost.
Yeah,
If
maybe
you
that's a
don't want
better
us
idea.
to.
See, I think. Sorry, my mic is falling. I think the problem is that I kind of have this mindset of like, oh, I want to max one day, even though I just don't have the time to. It's for I might be able to max some skills, but there's gonna be certain skills I'll never be able to max, like agility. I'll max out rune crafting before agility, but
I think it's just a
um,
matter of like slow and steady wins the race kind of thing. Like my plan is hopefully I get the agility pet. The moment I get the agility pet, I can just literally ignore agility and just level it up through like the XP relics from raids. But
yeah,
um hopefully the idea is like you can get 89 rune crafting, or even like, because at 89 you can just use the sphere boost, the Dorgish Khan sphere, um
okay,
to boost to 91, and then you can just slowly and steadily like get a few dozen thousand experience points every now and then for rune crafting. Like, oh, I'm bored at work at the radio station, I have nothing to do, like, oh, let me just get a few levels here and there, just like slowly chip away at
so
it.
that's what I was doing with fishing because 96 was the one I needed, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I could boost. I want it since I plan on maxing eventually. I may as well get as close to 96 as possible. And I'm currently at 93. It's basically 94. But so I should be boosting them because I'm getting kind of bored. The only problem is like the only stuff I would find fun now is like group bossing or doing the odd random boss. Um, and and I think since the problem is like I'm just on a money grind that I just feel super demotivated from doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Just because the money grind can kind of get to you, so that's why I just been playing Twisted Leagues and stuff, and I started playing my Pure again because I felt like I wanted to get back into PKing, so I trained him up a bunch, but then kind of started playing Twisted Leagues a bunch.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot going on there, but before Twisted Leagues came out, I made some notes because I was doing other random stuff. Sorry, I made one note. Have you done Last Man Standing recently?
No, I haven't touched it since like the update, to be honest.
So I was playing casual, and so they have casual mode and like competitive mode. Casual mode, it's just you go there, you have fun, it doesn't matter. Competitive mode, uh, if you go when you kill people in it, you get points, and the points you can actually buy stuff.
Yeah.
So I started playing casual a bunch because I kind of suck at tri-birding, and it was fun. It was fun kind of and I was noticed myself getting more comfortable with it, and then I tried competitive, and holy shit, there are so many bots that play competitive.
Oh, really? I thought you were gonna say like, holy shit, there are so many good players. I thought you were gonna
I
be like,
was
man, I got creamed.
No, it was like there's so many bots, and all they do is they pray range and they crossbow you, and they never change their prayer, and they don't do anything else but just crossbow. And I guess they're trying to get points because you go into a game, and I think you need to have 20 people for a competitive match, something like that. You go in there, and like if there's 20 people in there, at least 15 of them are bots.
Wow, really?
And yeah, and it was like, I was like, this is messed up. But I was always coming in like the top 5, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this because one, the bots are like, there's so many of them. I want to say they ruin it, but at the same time, if these bots weren't in the competitive mode, there might not be enough players to hit the threshold for a competitive match to start.
Yeah.
So it's like the bots, and the bots aren't good. So I'm killing them. I'm getting, my keys. I'm getting points. I'm getting gear upgrades. And then at the end, I am facing other real players. It's like this weird thing where the bots they're both ruining the game mode, but at the same time, they're like preserving and saving the game mode from being completely dead.
Yeah, they're propping it up. It sounds
Yeah.
like I don't actually play Fortnite. I meme on it a lot, but apparently they've put out like AI NPC things for people to kill because
Oh, really?
apparently I don't know, like maybe somebody who is a little bit more knowledgeable about it than me can explain, but it's like right at the start of the game there are lots of AI mobs that people kill, and it's like because when you're playing a competitive shooter, it's like a food chain kind of thing. You know, the best of the best usually wins unless it's
Yeah.
like a really RNG heavy game. And then that's the whole point is you play the game so you can like pound on someone. And
Sure.
eventually if you're at the very bottom of the ladder, there's no one for you to actually kill, probably because you suck, but
Yeah.
so they put out like mobs for those guys to kill and keep coming back to the game. It's like the same issue that Call of Duty has where it's like everyone plays Call of Duty so they can get the biggest kill streaks and like nuke everyone, but if you're always the guy that's getting pub stomped on, you're not going to enjoy your time. So
No, it feels bad.
yeah,
Trust me, I know.
so it's now that you mention it, it's like a really weird conundrum because it's like they're propping it up in the short term. Like you don't want to say it's good because that way you can like boost your points and get the extra rewards and make more money, and it feels good, to place higher, obviously, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's kind of a big issue where it's like, maybe if Jagex, like in an ideal world, what about this for an idea? How about Jagex, like, removes the bots somehow, which I know that's like super easier said than done kind of thing. Like, yeah, Jagex, why don't you just remove the bots? And they go, oh, geez, wish we thought of that earlier. But like, if they can remove the bots somehow or work on better bot detection and then add like NPCs for people to kill in Last Man Standing, at least early on, like,
It's
I don't know.
hard because you want to get rid of the bots, but at the same time, like I kind of think I was enjoying Last Man Standing more because of the bots. Because one, I was like, oh, I'll get some points. These bots suck. I'll kill them. I'll get, it's better than me being like the first one out. But
Yeah.
also like the person who's gonna come first place is usually someone who's actually really good at tri-breeding, and if I'm lucky, when I kill a bot, I'll get some really good gear upgrades, and hopefully better than what the player who's more skilled than me gets. So it kind of makes me feel like I have more of a chance. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird, and it was like this weird thing that I was like, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about these bots. On one hand, I like
Yeah.
them, but on the other hand, they're really bad.
I guess if someone who's like big into Last Man Standing, I have a couple friends who play Last Man Standing a little bit. I know they've been into Twisted Leagues a lot, but if someone is super big into Last Man Standing, wants to hop in and like give their opinion, because it's nice to get a like contrasting views. I think a nice workaround would be kind of to be able to remove the bots and then add NPCs in their place.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
if
basically
they could
gives
do
you the
that,
same
yeah,
experience that
definitely.
you've been talking about.
Yeah. And I can totally see like why in Fortnite they would do that, because that's really gonna, it's gonna make the game more fun for certain people.
Yeah.
I've played Fortnite, and my biggest problem was that I was so tired of getting killed so quickly by someone who's 13 or 12 years old, and them calling me a pussy and shit. I'm like, what the fuck's going on right now? Like, you fucking pussy, you fucking suck, dude. I was like, man, I'm like,
That's like the
3 times
nicest
older than
trash
you.
talk I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's normally it has to do with my mom, but
Yeah.
we're not going to get into that.
It feels bad sometimes, but yeah, you know what? That was basically my RuneScape experience. A lot of Twisted Leagues now.
Awesome. You want to hop into the news?
Yeah, we got a lot to cover, so let's get into it. So since I haven't really been playing too much, Magpie, I think you're going to be a lot more knowledgeable on kind of what's been going on news related. So do you want to tell us what have I been missing this month?
Yeah, sure. So we've got 3 big ones to talk about so far in December. And the first one is the Nightmare of Ashihama poll blog and the poll results. The poll's already been done while we were kind of inactive, and the results have come out. So we're going to speed through the questions and then talk about the results. But basically, this was announced at RuneFest. It is a new kind of group boss. They've said it's most similar to the Corp Beast in the sense that everyone goes in, it's one boss. It's not really a raid or God Wars where you have to prepare and kill things for it. You just go in and you fight the boss. and it's in the Sisterhood Sanctuary beneath the town of Sleep, which was added last year for Theater of Blood. So, here are the poll questions. Should we add a new group boss called the Nightmare to Old School RuneScape, who will be located in the depths of the Sleep Dungeon? Should we add an Inquisitor's Mace as a potential reward? It will be tradable and require 75 attack to equip. This was the idea for a new best in slot one-handed crush weapon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Should the Nightmare Staff be a potential reward from the Nightmare? This item will be tradable and require 65 magic and 50 hit points to equip. Should the Nightmare... If question 3 passes, should the Harmonized Orb be a potential reward from the Nightmare? This will be attached to the staff to create a Harmonized Nightmare Staff. And we will go over the staff in general after these questions. Question 5 and 6, same thing as the Harmonized Orb, except for the Volatile Orb and Eldritch Orb. So 3 different orb attachments for the staff. Should the Siren's Charm be a potential reward, which you can add to a Mage's Book as an attachment to create a new best in slot magic offhand item? And finally, should the Inquisitor's Armor be added? It will be kind of like an offshoot of Bandos, I guess. It will require, I believe, 30 defense and 75 strength to
30
equip.
defense seems so weird.
Yeah, that was the big thing that jumped out for people. So these items were all discussed in the poll blog. I won't go too into the actual stats, but basically the Inquisitor's Mace is a tradable, non-degradable one-handed crush weapon, 89 strength bonus, attack speed of 4. The Nightmare Staff is potentially the new best in slot magic weapon.
Do you know off the top of your head how much strength bonus the rapier has from Theater of Blood?
That is a good question. No, but give me a sec. I will figure it out.
The rapier is 94. Okay, so this
Rapier is 89.
Oh, okay, so it's gonna be on par with the rapier. Interesting.
Yeah, pretty much the crush equivalent of the rapier, I guess. Which I wonder if this becomes like a really good option for Tecton in solos and stuff.
I'd imagine it would, right?
Yeah, because for Tecton, even though the scythe is best in slot, it's only if you hit one spec in regular chambers, I think, that it becomes better than the Elder Maul. And in
the scythe?
Yeah, in challenge mode, you actually still bring an Elder Maul if you're doing a challenge mode solo for Tecton.
Okay.
Because of how strong he is and how weak to crush he is compared to Slash. So with the Avernic Defender, this might be better. This probably will be better DPS than an Elder Maul. 95 crush attack bonus, 89 strength bonus.
It's got +2 prayer.
Yeah, the mace also has +2 prayer. It might have a stab option, I'm pretty sure, because of its +52 stab. So that's probably like the controlled attack style. So it'll be tradable, requires 75 attack. So we've got the Blade of Saildor as the slash equivalent now. The Grazi Rapier is the staff equivalent, and now the mace, which is the crush one-handed weapon to round it out, I guess.
I feel like this conversation gets brought up every time we get new gear, but do you think it's time to kind of bring out a new tier of weapons? We keep seeing the 75 tier just filling out. It's been 6 years.
Yeah.
That they've been putting items in it.
Well, I think so. I think they've clearly established, I think I mentioned this before, but it's clear that the levels don't really mean too much anymore. The Twisted Bow is not a tier 75 weapon. Even though a lot of times people overrate the Twisted Bow sometimes. If anything, the Blowpipe isn't even a tier 75 weapon. The Blowpipe should be tier 90, yeah. But that's another
People
story.
talk about it all the time, and even one thing that always stuck out with when Matt K was kind of working for the team, he always complained about how overpowered the Blowpipe was, but
yeah.
He knew that if you changed much, it's a big job to change anything with it.
Yeah. So they've kind of established that the levels don't mean as much as in terms of the rarity and the GP value of the item. If you have 75 range, there's what percentage of people with 75 range that aren't pures will have the ability to buy a toasted bow, you know? So
Yeah, definitely.
they've clearly made it so that the levels aren't really too much. It seems like they want to cap it at 75 for some reason. They're scared of power creep, but I think in an episode way back, you and Deegan pretty much explained how this is the definition of power creep because there's no natural progression.
Yeah, it's true.
But that being said, Nightmare Staff is up next. This is a one-handed magic weapon. It is a powerful magic weapon once in the possession of the shamans of Ashihama. Through the use of different orbs, they can adapt the staff to any task. It requires 65 magic and 50 HP. So if you want to talk about arbitrary stats, this is one of the first ones that pops out.
That's so bizarre.
It will not degrade and can autocast both standard and ancient spells. It will have the following stats. Plus 16 magic attack bonus, but more importantly, plus 15% magic strength bonus, and an attack speed of 5.
So that seems pretty big, eh?
That is comparable to the Kodai wand, yeah. So at first glance, just at straight up face value without any of the orbs, this is like an alternative to the Kodai. It doesn't give you the chance to save any runes, but instead, it can also autocast standards, whereas the Kodai autocasts ancients. This can autocast both.
Wow, okay.
That being said, the Nightmare also has a rare chance of dropping the 3 different orbs. The Harmonized Orb, which is blue, the Volatile Orb, which is orange, and the Eldritch Orb, which is green. Each orb, when attached, gives the staff a magic requirement of 75 instead of 65, and a unique effect.
So it's similar to how the Spirit Shield, how you get the Elysian Shield, the Elysian, the was it Arcane, and what's the other one?
Spectral. Yeah.
Okay.
And then ours 3 has the Divine one, which is green, I think.
Okay.
So here are the individual effects. So the Harmonized Orb allows the staff to cast standard spells a tick faster, turning it into a 4-tick weapon, and removes the tick delay when autocasting. However, the staff loses the ability to autocast ancient spells. This becomes the best in slot mage weapon for Chambers of Zarek.
Yeah, okay.
Easily. Because the Sanguinesti staff will still be super useful, especially for solos, because it can heal you. But you can now autocast Fire Surge. This and a Tomb of Fire will probably be the best magic damage that you can do.
And the fact that it's shooting a bit faster, like 1 tick faster, that's massive, right?
Well, yeah, this will put it on par with Tridents for 4 ticks, because when you attach this orb, it goes from 5 ticks to 4 ticks.
Gotcha.
So it'll be as fast as a Trident. The Volatile Orb. This orb, when attached, gives the staff a special attack that fires a single spell, which requires no runes to use, but costs 55% special attack. The attack deals up to 58 base damage, with 50% improved accuracy, and this number includes the staff's own magic damage bonus. This was increased from 50 to 55% in a change to make it harder to combo with other 50% spec weapons.
Oh, right. Okay. That seems like a strong and straight for PKing. I did see some people complaining that with having all the damage percent boosts, you could hit some ridiculous numbers.
Yeah. I think this was uncapped at first, and now they've capped it at 58.
It's capped? Oh, yeah. Wait.
No, it's capped. The base damage is capped at 58, so you can still go over that with Ancestral and other magic damage boosting gear. I think this is the orb that people were complaining about on Twitter and stuff, because you could combo people out really easily. In the beta, people were just one-shotting people with this.
Yeah.
The Eldritch Orb. This is the green orb. It gives the staff a special attack that fires a single spell, just like the Volatile Orb. But unlike the Volatile Orb, this uses 75% special attack energy, deals up to 44 base damage, which can be increased using damage boosting items, but it also restores your prayer points by 50% of the damage dealt, and it can boost your prayer points above your prayer level to a maximum of 120.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So it's almost like a blowpipe spec.
But blowpipes for only HP, right? You can't heal past your max HP, can you?
No. So it's like
Okay.
it heals 50% of your prayer, just like the blowpipe heals 50% of your
Right,
HP.
yeah. Makes sense. I wonder if you know the dummy in your house?
That's a
Your
good
POH?
point.
I wonder if you could
Mhm.
before bossing boost your prayer to 120.
Exactly. That would be pretty sick. That is a really good point, actually.
Do you think that's a bad thing if you could do that?
I would say it's a bad thing just because it just makes things a lot more tedious. Now the meta is
Yeah,
like before a Slayer task, if you want to be super efficient, like before you go to the Gargoyle bosses or to Hydra, now you go to your POH with this thing and then you go back.
Yeah.
And, like it's
And if that is the case, I could definitely see it snowballing in a year from now where people are like,
give us a potion.
yeah, or a pool or something. Like we're
Yeah.
doing this anyways, just make it easier.
Exactly. I don't know. I think you shouldn't be able to do that. It should be fine without the overheal. Like, it would be fine if it just restored your prayer without needing to overheal. I think that's like unnecessary.
Yeah.
It doesn't really add to the value of the weapon. Like the weapon and the special attack will still be really good. But yeah, that's the staff. Basically, it's like an IKEA staff. You just pick and choose what kind of upgrade you want.
Sick.
Just attach whatever you want. It looks really cool as well. It looks like one of those lantern shaman staffs, and then each attachment gives it a different kind of light that it holds.
Yeah, yeah. It does look really cool. I like it. It's really fitting for the whole area.
Yeah. The next item is the Siren's Tome, which we're going to skim over super quick because this will not be entered into the game.
So this is what we could have had in the game, but didn't.
Yeah. So this was going to be the new best in slot magic offhand. Basically, it's an attachment that is dropped that you attach to a mage's book from the mage training arena. And it will give plus 4% magic damage bonus, as well as plus 15 magic accuracy. And finally, the Inquisitor's armor. And the reason why we're going to skim over that is for the results. But the Inquisitor's armor is almost like a corrupted Justiciar outfit. It once belonged to the Inquisitor, who crafted it from her old Justiciar garb, altering it to better reflect her newfound ferocity.
Cool.
When killed, the Nightmare has a rare chance of dropping one of these 3 pieces of armor, a new set of melee armor with a focus on crush accuracy and defense, including the Great Helm, the Hauberk, and the Plate Skirt, which require 70 strength and 30 defense, all tradable, all non-degradable pieces of armor, and they can be packed into a set and sold on the Grand Exchange. So the set collectively gives 10 strength bonus. Helm, Hauberk, and Plate Skirt gives 4, 4, and 2 strength bonus respectively. They also give a combined 32 crush accuracy, which is pretty good. Do you know how much BCP and tacets give? I'm 90%
so
sure.
the tacets are 2 strength.
Okay, and the BCP is 4. So yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Same strength bonus as the BCP and tacets, only Bandos doesn't give you accuracy buffs, and this does. If you're using the mace or something, it's definitely worth it to use this instead.
And what's interesting is the defense on this gear is shit.
Yeah.
It's like the Bandos is more defense, has better defensive stats.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's 30 defense. Bandos is this gives 35 range defense for the chest. For comparison, the Bandos chestplate gives 133.
Dude, rune armor has better defense than the Inquisitor's armor.
Yeah. Defense doesn't matter too much, but
no, it doesn't matter too much. But for me, it's just like sometimes I scratch my head when I look at these stats and like I don't know.
Yeah. If you're doing like AFK Slayer,
it's just that like when new best in slot gear comes out, it's just weird. It's weird. I don't know.
I was just going to say, I like how this doesn't really turn it into best in slot gear. Like, the only upgrade it has over Bandos, I guess, is the prayer bonus as like +1 prayer bonus. The crush accuracy is nice, but it's really situational. It's really niche. The best in slot melee weapon is Slash for the scythe. And if you're doing like Chambers of Xeric, you use a lance, which is a stab weapon. I guess if you're doing Serb, it's useful, but other than that,
Yeah.
and even Serb, you're just going to be chunking a lot. Like you're going to be taking way more damage because of the worse defense.
That's very true. I like the idea of them giving gear that has like an accuracy focus. I think I'm just ready to see a clear cut. This is a new gear upgrade, because like I get that they want to have like all this situational gear, but like I find it's a bit too much at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they could, because like Bandos is still going to be better than this gear for the most part. It's got better defense, has the same strength bonus. You miss out on a bit of the prayer, but
Yeah. Here's the thing. They're rapidly running out of ways to introduce new gear into the game without making old content dead. Like, the reason why this is not better than Bandos is because people don't want Bandos to be dead content. And that's why we probably haven't gotten a new crossbow, because they don't want Sarah to be dead content, or new best in slot range. Here's a really, I guess, for some people, upsetting theory of mine. It's the three like letters that every OSRS player hates. EOC was designed pretty much to handle this issue, because they realized like we have no place to put in new gear. And I think what EOC did right, it did a lot of things wrong, don't get me wrong, but one of the things is I think in EOC each monster has its own weakness to different attack styles, and weaknesses aren't just about accuracy, I don't think, in RS3, but it's also, it modifies your max hit against them, which I really wish was the case for some content in OSRS.
that'd be cool.
Because, like, especially for Slayer, it means now instead of using a Dragon Scimitar in the early game or the mid game for most of your Slayer tasks, it's like, oh, this is this monster's weak to crush, and I actually get way more max hits with like a Dragon Mace, even if it's slower. Maybe I should switch to that, and maybe people will actually use a Dragon Mace for once.
I started watching C Engineer. I never really watched his videos before. Like I watched a bit, but not much. And I saw a video recently that it was on my recommendations on YouTube. So, like watched it, and it was really, really good. Ended up binging a bunch of his episodes, but he has a Hardcore Iron Man and PvP World series. And when I was watching the earlier episodes, he's like doing some sort of, I can't remember what he's killing, but he's like struggling to kill it. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to come back at this with a rune Warhammer, because it has such low crush accuracy that this is going to be stronger than my rune scimitar.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I really wish that was something that mattered.
Yeah.
More so. It's cool that it does at higher levels, but a lot of it is just like, oh, we need to fill in so many niches that we have a weapon that is best in slot for everything, but they have all the same DPS. Therefore, if you're killing Serb, you're going to use a one-handed best in slot crush weapon.
Yeah.
But I agree. I wish like at lower levels you didn't get punished for just using a rune Warhammer or a rune battle axe or whatever.
Yeah. And so the other thing is, a lot of times you can just use a random like DPS calculator to find best ways to kill something, and normally it doesn't matter too much, because most of the time it's just like a very, very minor thing. But levels matter so much more than gear, that I think another thing that they've been talking about recently, especially when it comes to the wilderness and how magic defense is calculated, if you remember a couple of months ago, levels matter way more than gear. Like 99 strength versus 90 strength, even if you have way worse gear, especially worse armor, like your weapon and your levels matter the most. Armor doesn't matter too much. If you have 99 magic and like arms, it's better than 90 magic and ancestral, arcane, like tormented bracelet, everything. So yeah, by a long shot. Like, you can have 99 magic, arms, an occult necklace, and Barrow's gloves, and you'll do more DPS with a trident than 90 magic and a sang staff and ancestral. So that's another thing that might be worth considering, is like the way the system is weighted towards levels makes it harder for gear to actually matter as much. But that said, these items all clearly fill a niche. One of them clearly filled a niche too far, because with the results, the poll results came out, all of the items passed. The helm, like the Justiciar, corrupted Justiciar, what is it even called? Sorry, let me pull it up. Let me redo that part. Yeah, sorry, let me redo that part. That being said, all the items passed. That means the Inquisitor's Mace, the Staff, the Siren's Tomb, and the Inquisitor's Armor. But recently, Jagex came out with an announcement that said, despite the Siren's Tomb passing, they've decided not to add it into the game because it sparked a lot of debate. It devalued the Arcane Spirit Shield, and they felt that it was too strong to be added into the game because it would pretty much make the corp a lot more redundant. And some people were worried that they were basically making the offhand mage grind too easy for Iron Man, because Iron Man accounts struggle to kill corp, and it's like a massive pain to actually kill corp. So people were worried, like, A, is this going to make it way easier for Iron Man to get a really good mage offhand? So they've decided, they say here, on reflection, we've decided to maintain the status quo. We've seen a host of innovative ideas from players about how the item could be redesigned, and we're grateful for the constructive support. But as the Nightmare is arriving with 6 unique rewards, we don't feel it's right to proceed with a 7th one, especially one that has so much uncertainty around it. I actually like this. I like this a lot, because even though the players decided to vote this in, a lot of times it takes a second chance, or a chance to revisit things and to take a step back and say, this might be too strong. Going back to our power creep discussion, I think it's nice that they did this, because it was going to be super, super ridiculously strong, and it made Arcane Spirit Shields almost worthless. What do you think about it, though? That's my opinion. It's not really a popular opinion, I don't think. Most people don't have that idea, but
I'm just happy to see Jagex more often doing something, even though the community was like, yeah, we voted for it. Like, if this was like a couple years ago, Jagex would have been like, this isn't good for the game, but the community voted on it, so let's bring it in anyways. Whereas now the community votes on it, it passes, and they go, you know what? I bet you all it was, they probably had a meeting. One person, one JMod was like, guys, I've had a bad feeling about this tomb, and let me tell you why I don't think this is a good item to bring in. And then they're probably like, you know what? That's a good point. Let's take it off.
Yeah, and you kind of wish they did that with the blowpipe. Yeah, that's
exactly
progress.
it. Yeah, I feel like if the blowpipe was being introduced this time around, same thing would have happened. Someone would have been like, "Yo, guys, this is way too strong." So I'm glad they're coming out with these. Like, they're more confident, I guess, with their updates.
Yeah. So last thing to mention before we move on from the Nightmare rewards is part of that blog where they announced that they wouldn't be adding the Nightmare. They added this little part at the end. They said, we want to be clear that those of us lucky enough to be working on OSRS are a united team. In no circumstance is it ever acceptable to target individual JMods with harassment. This makes me worried that maybe some people are getting flack because of this decision or something. They put it in bold and stuff, so maybe people were targeting a specific JMod for this, which is kind of sad to see. But I see where people are coming from. Yeah. It kind of undermines the whole polling system that we have that has propped the community up. But at the same time, I think the community has shown a couple times that sometimes we don't vote for our best interests.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So that is the Nightmare rewards polling debacle in a nutshell. Basically, we're getting all the items except for the Siren's Tome, even though everything passed, and that is because the Siren's Tome was deemed to be overpowered and devaluing current content.
Yeah. I think I like all the updates. The staffs are cool. What I think would be interesting is, imagine, I mean, people probably hate this. I probably hate this, but imagine you can only have one of the staffs at a time, and in order to change what was it, the relic, the orb, you had
Yeah.
to like get rid of your previous orb.
Yeah.
Destroy it.
Destroying it might make it really cheap. It might make the orbs really cheap, but definitely like if you had to go to a different place to change the orb, just like you have to go to the Theater of Blood to charge the scythe, that would be nice because
Yeah,
it would
fair
stop
enough.
people from switching.
Yeah, this way you can have just 3 of the staffs in your bank and like, oh, I'm gonna bring all 3 of them. This way you don't
Yeah.
like...
Or just 1 staff and 3 orbs.
Yeah. True. It's all pretty cool.
The staff will be super useful for chambers if you're in a team raid. Not so much in a solo, I don't think, and also probably not so much in Theater of Blood. I could be wrong, but I think you'd still take the Sang and the Kodai in Theater of Blood.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Since we haven't been doing our lore segments for a while now, just been too busy, let's have an impromptu lore section right now where we're going to talk about the Nightmare and the Sisterhood Sanctuary. We'll start with the Sisterhood Sanctuary because there's a lot of lore for this, so let's sneak one in right in the middle of news. The Sisterhood were once a group of pious Saradomus warriors charged with fighting for their god on the bloody fields of Mauritania. Their leader was a member of the Justiciar, an elite holy order of Saradomin who wielded power far above that of an average human. Her name was Fosani. As the War of Hollowvale raged on, Fosani began to feel betrayed by her god, and it appears that some of her companions felt the same. The exact details of the Sisterhood's conversion to Zamorak are not known, but suffice to say that they would be far too gory to detail here. What a cop-out.
Yeah.
What we do know is that at some point, Fosani and her loyal companions allied with Lower Neil Draken, the leader of the vampire forces, and offered up the majority of her army as a blood teeth to him. The remainder served as thralls for Draken's vampires, and the Sisterhood took up residence in an abandoned hermitage nearby. The sect eventually expanded their lair by building a handful of houses and digging deeper into the dungeons beneath the town. The subterranean warren became a sanctuary where they could enact their rites and offerings in relative peace. One of the high-ranking members of the Sisterhood was a divine healer and a talented chemist who experimented with many strange tinctures. During one such experiment, she discovered a miraculous formula that she called the Elixir of Everlasting. Legends say that the elixir could extend a human life indefinitely. Of course, Fosani deeply desired the elixir so she could live as long as her vampire lords, but such meddling with the natural order always has consequences. The elixir had devastating effects on the drinker. They would sleep for longer and longer at a time until one day they simply never woke up. It wasn't long before Fosani and her general succumbed to the sleeping sickness. Out of respect, their still sleeping bodies were moved deep into the sanctuary and the entrance was sealed behind them. The formula was hidden away to prevent more victims from imbibing the elixir. The townsfolk were so moved by Fosani's plight and so frightened of the elixir that caused it that they renamed the town Sleep. Of course, over time the spelling changed. In modern day Sleep, it seems that Fosani's affliction has resurfaced. The sleeping curse has attracted the Nightmare, a creature that feeds on dreams and twists them into a dreadful nightmare. Since the Nightmare has taken up residence, the townspeople have reluctantly agreed to reopen the Sisterhood Sanctuary, but all may not be as it first appears once you face the Nightmare yourself. Yeah, a lot of heavy lore there. It seems pretty cool. I'm down for it. It does seem like a lot of this information is going to be coming from a quest, and I know during RuneFest they teased a quest to be coming out for Sleep, but that's going to be coming out after the Nightmare for whatever reason.
Sounds like a really corrupted version of Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, too true. So they have a picture of one of the characters of this story named Shira, and she's a siren, and she wants your help with entering the Sisterhood Sanctuary to defeat the Nightmare. She kind of looks like a
mermaid,
like a mermaid without the fish body, and it was just like legs.
Yeah,
it looks like some sort of aquatic race of humanoids almost.
Yeah, I don't honestly like that design. I wish they took it in another direction. I was hoping, I guess they do this a lot in like the Theater of Blood, so they've done this before. Maybe they want to take it in a different direction, but I was hoping it would be like, I was picturing like a bunch of old like hag sirens with like unruly staffs and like decaying skin kind of thing, something that looks intimidating. This just looks like she's gonna ask me to like recover some gems from the bottom of the sea.
Come help me free Atlantis.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the kind of vibe I was getting. So I hope it's more like decayed, and they're saying it's sleepless. So I was hoping like, massive bags under their eyes and stuff, which is that's the concept art that we got during RuneFest. So that thing looked gross in a good way.
That's a good point. Like my first thought of the design, you'll have to go actually look at it yourself, but I'm looking at this and it reminds me very much of what's that? The Slayer Master from
Konar?
Krebos. Yeah, Konar. It reminds me of Konar, and I have a feeling Mod G might have, and I don't know. So I'm just going off.
Yeah, Mod G did work on it.
She did? Okay. But yeah. I see it and I'm like, it looks like something Mod G did because she did Konar, and it's a really cool design. But it just seems Konar and the Shura, the Siren, it feels like they should be coming from like a whole different area, not just Gielinor. Like they're like, oh, no, we're here. We're just like these high fantasy races. I mean, I said that I'm like, it doesn't really. I don't know how much it fits with RuneScape, but we do have elves and gnomes and dwarves.
Yeah,
but this just seems like when you talk about like basic level fantasy races, yeah, that's what you would have. You'd have like humans, elves, dwarves, and gnomes. And then once you get to like high fantasy races, that's where you start having like the merfolk. I think that's what they called, like, right?
Yeah, and centaurs, sirens.
Yeah.
Well, sirens, it depends on your definition of sirens, because also sirens can be the underwater type sirens who like sing and they lure, like, is it Norse mythology, I think? But like sirens sing underwater and they lure sailors to the shore and then they like kidnap them and drown them.
Yeah.
So maybe that's kind of like the aquatic kind of thing. But in that case, like, why would they make it an underground dungeon?
And yeah, and also the character looks like a good character. Like I can't imagine her like. I love like the lore behind, folklore of sirens. It's super cool how it's like this beautiful woman who kind of lures in, men, and then with their singing, and then because they're fucking idiots, they end up drowning because they're following some mermaid. I don't know, but like, yeah. Anyways, I don't know. It just seems a little off-putting, but that's nitpicking, of course.
Definitely.
I guess we'll move on to what the nightmare is itself. So it starts. The true origin of this creature is unknown, but Ashiyama legend tells of an ancient ritual that birthed out an otherworldly horror. Taking on the appearance of a large hag-like woman, this fiend gains energy by leeching people's life force during their sleep. Those affected experience horrifying nightmares, and thus the monster was named. The nightmare is a group boss located in this. You already read this, didn't you?
Yeah. This just gives more logistical info. So the nightmare is a group boss below Sleep in the Sisterhood Sanctuary, which you can access by running south of Port Phasmatis or paying 10,000 coins to Andros, who is north of the Ectofuntus. The first time, or when the first player steps through the barrier of the sanctuary, a timer will count down to the arrival of the nightmare to allow more players to enter the encounter before it closes up. So it's almost like in other MMOs where it's like your team leader has embarked on their raid to like enter the ship before it begins, kind of thing, where it's like, now you have 30 seconds for everyone to get in before the thing starts.
Interesting.
Which the question is, how do you get people out if like you just get crashed by some people and you're like, no, please get out? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, because it does seem like you have to wait for everyone to leave and it starts again. And that's interesting that they said they're going to allow to be a broadcast being like, hey, join this, but it's about to start. I wonder if they're going to like give everyone individual loot.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's also going to be broadcast so much. I think it's more like you won't be able to enter the chamber anymore until it's killed or everyone
Oh,
leaves.
okay, that'd make more sense. I love the design of the nightmare. It's that hag-looking woman
Yeah,
that you were just talking about.
yeah,
It looks
um,
like terrifying.
yeah. I'm a big fan of like that kind of thing when it comes to Mauritania. I think this is way more in tune with it. Maybe some people will like how Shura, the good siren, is designed. I like it when things are like really morally ambiguous, where you're like, are these the good guys? Are these the bad guys? I would have liked to see Shura be basically like similar to the hag, like what is this, like
Yeah.
really dark gray skin with red eyes. I think that would have been cool just to see like how they look similar, except one's good and one's bad.
I remember you talked about this during Song of the Elves, and this just seems
Yeah,
like they have this theme now where they want you to like look at the two characters and you know right away who's good and who's bad, which is great if you're a child, but come on, right? Like what we're all adults playing this game now. Like
yeah.
we like to kind of not know. We know that it's not just good or bad anymore. It's a gray area, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing: is even when we were kids, the characters were more well designed and more ambiguous than here. Like you think about big spoilers if you haven't played the Elf questline Regicide, the bad guy turns out to be spoilers the king, like
Oh yeah.
who is looks really helpful. He's the king of Ardoin, blah blah blah, or even in something like Prince Ali Rescue, you know what I mean? Where it's like, are we really the good guys here?
Uh-huh.
Um, you're just listening to one person's tale of rescuing the prince, or um, how you have to steal like squirks or whatever from the sorceress's garden. You're basically breaking and entering just so this dude can have his addiction juice, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, so there was a lot more morality, or there were a lot more questions about morality in like the older content that we used to have.
But like if you even just like children's content, it's normally like if you're watching a cartoon, it's like obvious who's the good and who's the bad guy just the way they look.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's weird that old school RuneScape is going back to those roots because I mean, yeah, we all know that even the quote unquote bad guy isn't necessarily doing it just because they're evil. They usually have like there's usually a reason behind it.
yep. So Nightmare of Fashihama, hopefully decent content, some decent rewards coming out. It looks like it'll probably come out like first thing in 2020. So
Yeah, I'm betting January. They seem to drop a big update in January. Chambers of Zarek came out in January or
yep,
February at least.
Hydra came out January.
Hydra, yep, exactly. Dragon Slayer 2 January. So yeah, they always have a big drop in January.
Yeah, seems like they have their like schedule. So they announce things at RuneFest. The first big update they start work on immediately. They pull it, put it out by January, February time, and then the next one like July, August.
And the next one's like September.
Yeah. Um, that being said, let's move on to the next two relatively minor updates in comparison.
Sweet.
The first one is Christmas 2019, so happy holidays
Yay.
to everyone. The new Christmas event is up, and it says angry children have gathered in Varrock, and it seems like they're protesting against something. But who's that jolly-looking fellow standing beside them? Why, that's Santa. What in Gielinor is going on here? I'm just reading from the post here. It looks like they're just surrounding him saying, "Shut up, boomer." That's kind of what it looks
Yeah.
like. Some like
I
millennial
wish
humor.
I wish the children protest was happening in like Falador, just to like
Yeah,
a throwback.
yeah. Back to the darker days of this game. So, if you speak to Santa by the Varrock Fountain, you'll learn what epic quest awaits you. Cement your place on his nice list to earn an all-new Christmas reward. Plus, you'll receive all the event items from the old Christmas events. This is Mod Oasis's first project since joining the old school team, and he's had a few words to say. So I'll just skim through this and get the highlights. He says Christmas is always a special time, especially because this is the first project he does for old school. It's been a great experience for him working on a new piece of content that he's been playing for so many years, especially because it's one of old school's iconic holiday events. He's even more excited to see you guys play through it, and he can't wait for your feedback, and hopefully you enjoy the humor and festivity that he's put in. And he says he's learned a lot, and he's excited to get started on his next project.
Nice.
So have you done the holiday event yet?
No, I have not. What about you?
I haven't actually been able to log in and do it yet, but it looks
Next
like...
episode, we'll do a whole review of it.
Yeah, it's going to be super short probably. I've heard you can do it in like 5 minutes.
I heard it's really nice, and teaser/spoiler, you can pet the dog, the stray dog.
Oh, I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
I saw people
That
lose
is
their
super
mind.
cool.
You don't just shoo away the dog anymore.
Yeah. I saw a picture of just like a bunch of people petting the dog and saying hello doggy, and it was like a really heartwarming thing that someone pointed out.
You know there's going to be some master level quest, or is that the highest?
Grandmaster.
Level. You have some Grandmaster quest where you get the stray dog as a pet.
Oh, that would be pretty sick.
That would be sick.
Maybe if you... Well, we already have the hell puppy. I don't want them to devalue my hell puppy.
Yeah, well. But then we also got the bloodhound too.
Yeah, that's fair. What if they just unlocked like an attachment to the bloodhound that you can turn him into the stray dog? Because everything's an attachment now.
Yeah.
Degrades after 50 pets. Yeah.
You're like, oh, you got this unlocked. You have to go get the hellhound puppy, or the hell puppy first.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
In other news, PvP rotations is switching back over to Period A, which means the Bounty World host is World 18 for the UK, and the highest PvP world is World 43 in Germany. For US, it is World 24 for PvP, and free-to-play PvP is World 117. I think that's World 417. I don't know why they didn't use the normal.
It's Jagex, and everything's so goddamn confusing in this game.
Yeah. So, quick things to skim through. Congrats to Joe Run, who is the Winter Sweepstake competition winner. You've won 6 months of membership. Congrats, $11 meme. Nice. The crafting skill guide now includes the silver sickle. Account management tab now updates correctly when a poll goes live, and when you use a charter ship, they now have an option to return to the previous location. Right. Finally, there's an update to the Twisted League rank thresholds. So if you want to know how you're progressing and what rank you're currently placed in, these are the ranks as well as the number of points you need. Bronze is still always going to be 10. Iron is 100. Steel is 540. Mithril is 1,670. Adamant is 3,810. Rune is 7,500 flat. And Dragon is 11,600. So, for the Twisted League grinders out there, nice to keep in touch and see how you've been doing.
Get grinding. That's what I gotta do. Speaking of Twisted Leagues, though, there's a bit of a conundrum that Jagex is currently trying to figure out, and that is in regards to the league trophies. So, if you don't know, every single reward from Twisted Leagues is tradable, except for the league trophies. And you'll get the trophy depending on how well you do in the leagues, right? So they have bronze, iron, steel, mithril, adamant, rune, and dragon. So they had mentioned how they weren't going to be tradable. And I mean, I always thought they were just going to go in your POH, but apparently you can actually wield them. They're an offhand.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got upset because they said when it came to Twisted Leagues, they'd have no discontinued items. Every item would be tradable, and you can like all the cosmetics you could continue buying with your points if you really wanted to. Mm-hmm. But the trophies, you don't get them if you don't participate. And yes, some people didn't like that. So they were trying to figure out, they had they thought they discussed 2 different ways of doing this. They could have the trophies untradeable, and every league it gets updated. So if you have your dragon trophy one league, the next league you get bronze or something, then it changes to you lose it and you get the bronze. Or they would make each trophy unique to the league. So like this one would be Twisted Leagues, and if you don't play Twisted Leagues, then you can never get the Twisted League trophy. You'll miss that design.
Yep.
And a lot of people didn't like that because basically 1% of the people who play Twisted Leagues are going to get the Dragon Trophy. And, you know, for someone like me who's not going to be the 1%, it's going like, that's not fair. I want the Dragon Trophy too. I'm not saying this. This is just what other people, they want the Dragon Trophy and they don't like the idea of not being able to obtain it because they didn't participate. So that's been a big discussion, and they have some ideas going forward.
Since then, though, they've made their decision.
Yeah, they have made their decision, and what they said they're going to do is, well, they said, it's overwhelmingly clear to us that the unique league trophies are the way to go. We no longer feel it's necessary to hold the opinion poll mentioned. Going forward, each league will have a unique trophy which will not be obtained once that league has ended. Once Twisted League is over, you can claim your trophy by speaking to the league tutor. But I guess until there's another Twisted League, you're not going to be able to get that Twisted League trophy. And people see it as now every league is introducing 7 discontinued items, which would be all the trophies.
Yeah.
It's very controversial. Like, personally, I don't really like discontinued items. I do and I don't. But something like trophies, I do like how it's discontinued because it kind of shows off that you were there for this event. I mean, it totally sucks if someone starts playing the game a year from now and they can't go back and get this trophy. But, you know, I guess it's just one of those things, in my opinion.
Yeah. Here's my opinion. I think this is the dumbest compromise they could have made. And here's why. It would be okay if each trophy was unique and not obtainable afterwards, but the problem is the trophies are based on a competitive ranking system, which means that you are cutting off 99% of players even if they want the trophy by default. Like, no matter how hard you try, 99% of people will not get the Dragon Trophy. It might be better. Like, it might have been better. I don't know. This is my opinion. It's not right or wrong. But it would have been better to do something like this to a trophy that's obtained after a set number of points that doesn't change based on how many points people get. So if you get a Dragon Trophy after 10,000 points, it means that no amount of competitive, like, sweaty players will change your ability to get this Dragon Trophy. But now if you want the Dragon Trophy, let's say 20% of the player base is now motivated to go and get the Dragon Trophy. They're not going to be able to all get it at once, because the moment they all go for it, the amount of points they need goes up exponentially.
Yeah, definitely.
So basically the entire point of discontinued items back when they first messed up in RS2 and put them in is basically we want to give people more of an incentive to play the content. So we're going to make this gated by time. So it's like, if you don't do this content now, too late, you've run out of the opportunity to get this unique reward. And now it's the case where you can't get the Dragon Trophy unless you grind for it nonstop and you have to compete with the biggest sweat lords in Twisted League.
Damn sweat.
And then it's going to be the same down the line. Exactly. So it would have been nice to give a unique discontinued item if it was obtainable for everybody. If everybody had a fair shot at getting it. But because this is already gated by default, it's going to just be another case where the people who can spend 18 hours a day playing a 19-year-old point-and-click game can have another thing to brag about that like 99% of the player base doesn't actually care about. And that I realize that this is coming off as sour grapes. I don't really see the need for me personally to get the trophies. I think personally the value that you have in old school is totally up to you. I find a lot of enjoyment and value in going for pets, so that's what I like to do. I don't have a desire to go for these trophies, and I don't think I will even for the future leagues. But I can see how this is going to be really upsetting for people, and I don't think it's going to be healthy for the game. But that being said, that's my opinion, and I know it might be wrong. It might not be popular but it is a totally subjective thing by me where I think they should have, maybe if they wanted to include this kind of discontinued item system, do it for something where everyone has a chance of getting it.
And that's definitely one way they could do it. I don't know, like I don't know how I feel. I see your point, and that's a pretty good way of doing it. I like the way that they're going with it going forward. How each one's gonna be unique, and only the 1% gets it. But I think the reason why I like the way I think the reason why I like that method of doing it is because I come from like a MOBA. I come from a MOBA background. No, I used to play a lot of
Mm-hmm.
MOBA games, and the ranking system was exactly the same as this, where like however well you ranked in a season, you got that you could get some reward for how well you did. But then going to the next season, it kind of doesn't matter. Like like how well I did in season 1 versus season 5. Like season 1, no one gives a shit about anymore. Like that's just erased. I can't
Mm-hmm.
show off anything from season 1. But I like the competitiveness of it being like the percentages, but also I can see how it's a problem. I guess I wonder if setting it like that will motivate less. Like I wonder if it'll demotivate more people than it'll motivate to compete. Because like you're
Yeah.
right in the sense that like I play this whenever I'm playing RuneScape, I'm playing Twisted Leagues, and I like to examine every person I see just to see what points they are and what levels they got. And basically everyone I examine is way higher in points than I am. Like I just logged in real quickly and I examined a level 34 right next to me. I'm level 87, he's level 34, and I've got like a little bit more points than he does. Goddamn motherfucker's got 50 mil fire making experience. But I'm like, I'm gonna get like iron. My rank is gonna be like iron, even though I play Twisted Leagues every opportunity that I can play RuneScape. And so maybe you know what? Maybe after this season, my opinion's gonna change completely. I'm gonna be like, this is a bullshit way of doing it. I put so much time into this, and I still only got bronze. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
It,
But
the thing
I don't know.
is, they always said Leagues is going to be separate from the main game. Leagues is separate from the main game. Everything that you get can be unlocked later, can be bought later. It's fine if you want to have some kind of cosmetic to show off, but the problem is this cosmetic goes against the fundamental idea of old school, which I think not enough people have, and it's a really elitist mindset when people ignore this, but you are allowed to play the game how you want. There are
Mhm.
people who just do nothing but do barrows and they're like max in max gear and they don't want to do raids. It's totally fine. Nobody has the right to tell them that they're a bad player because they don't know how to raid or whatever.
Sure.
You're allowed to put in time as much as you want. Yes, you're going to have some sweaty kid who lives in his mom's basement tell you that you're not being efficient because you're training at Motherlode Mine instead of 2-tick power mining iron or whatever,
Mhm.
which I know isn't a thing, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't matter because ultimately old school is just a measure of how much time you're willing to put into a goal.
Sure.
That's what is so rewarding about the game. The problem with Twisted Leagues is because it's limited, now it's a measure of how much time you're putting in within a certain amount of time. So previously, even if you only have 1 hour a day, you could max. Like if you just stick to it and you play consistently 1 hour a day, you can max in a matter of a few years, but you'll do it. If you only play for 1 hour a day, there's no way you can unlock the stuff that you want from Twisted Leagues, and there's no way you're going to be able to get these trophies. So it kind of goes against the whole allure of old school, which is it's a sandbox game. You do what you want and you play as you go and you define your own goals. And they're
I
always
just
going to be attainable.
yeah, and I feel like having this in like there's completionists in the game who want every item, and this is gonna piss off that side of the community, and I totally get it, but I don't know. Like I think the trophy seems like such a small thing. Um, like I think people are more upset about the idea of it than the actual trophy.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the trophies are gonna get people are gonna wear it that much, and they're gonna be like, "Whoa, that's the coolest trophy I've ever seen." They're gonna be like, Yeah, that looks stupid. I'm gonna wear my Ale of the Gods and fucking that's gonna be way better. I don't know. You know what? We'll have to see how it plays out. And we see Jagex still like they're willing to revisit things. I don't know. We'll have to see how they feel about it in a couple after this league, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to move on to the last bit of news?
Yeah, let's move on to the last little bit here.
Perfect. So this is just a little minor update. If you've been playing recently, you'll know that there's been a lot of server issues. The servers have been shitting the bed as usual, especially on mobile.
On mobile they just flat out weren't working.
Yeah. A lot of people couldn't log in, and they just released a new announcement, I guess. It's not even a blog today, saying, "We are investigating an issue where players on certain networks are unable to log in on mobile, and they recommend disabling parental controls and connecting using Wi-Fi instead of data to resolve the issue." And they say, when we have more information and hopefully a fix, we'll edit this page and provide an accompanying social post. And they say, apologies for the inconvenience. So basically, sorry guys, it's been years that our servers are bad, but whoops.
Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah.
Just use Wi-Fi and don't use your 3G. And it's like, I imagine most people are doing that. I don't know who's actually. It's been a few times where I'm like, my 3G is way faster than my Wi-Fi, but not too often.
Yeah. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the news. A skim through of the Nightmare, as well as Christmas and Twisted League rewards.
Lots of fun stuff there. I guess we'll kick it over to community chatter.
Yep.
So I just saw two things, and I had made notes of this back at the end of November. But there was an article on theregister.co.uk. I've never heard of this site. I have no idea how credible it is, but I saw it pop up, and I decided to read it, and it's titled, I don't know if this is helping how credible this source is, but RuneScape bloke was wrongly sacked after reading Veep's salary details on office printer. So what happened was someone left some documents on the printer. An employee went to go use that printer at like 7 a.m. in the morning when he first got to work, saw this, and it had a bunch of information on it, but it also had the salary of the person who had left it there. So the employee that got fired ended up telling one other employee, and apparently it spread through the whole office, and it came back to him, and he got terminated from it. They saw that he read and spread like privileged information that he shouldn't have even read in the first place. Yeah.
Jagex has been found to be guilty in the employment tribunal. So it says here that this person who it puts their name in, but I think this is a fake name. Basically, they were fired in August 2017, and they basically just got done with the employment tribunal that found him, that ruled in his favor, and basically said that Jagex wrongfully fired him because other people who saw the email and also discussed it got away with no sanctions or just verbal warnings. So
yeah, why did they fire him?
Yeah, it just looks like they were looking for an excuse or something. Yeah.
Unfortunately, is sometimes the case, but yeah. So that happened, and then we're gonna swing it back over to Twisted Leagues. So this came out like right as soon as Twisted Leagues was released. Cook Me Please on the subreddit. He's the wiki admin, and he dropped some information that was kind of cool. The article Chicken was 80 times more popular than usual on the day of release of Twisted Leagues. So people were trying to find feathers for whatever reason, and they were trying to find chickens. Chickens on Zaya, no one could find it. So chickens end up being like the top searched post. And the article or the webpage for just a knife was 60 times more popular than usual. And then similar multipliers for like steel axes and iron axes and how you obtain those. But one of the more interesting ones was Toothy's Pickaxes, which is a store on Zaya that sells pickaxes. So it went from being viewed 20 times a day to being viewed 3,500 times. And it became one of the biggest
Wow.
disparities, the biggest percentage markup. I don't know. I can't even
Yeah.
speak. My brain's a bit loopy. So
One
that
of
happened.
the
That was
highest
pretty cool.
risers, I guess.
That's it. It's an up and comer. That's pretty much all the little fun facts there. All right, so that's about it for news. In which case, we're going to move on over to the Grand Exchange, and we're going to talk about a few things we got going on. First things first, you get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. They got a bunch of shit you can check out there. If there's a book and you're too lazy to read it, check out Audible. They're a pretty great company. I subscribed to them, and then I completely forgot that I was subscribed to them, and they kept charging me every month, and I had all these tokens for books that I never used. Called them up. They said, hey, we'll refund you all of it, and you can still use those tokens if you want. And I was like, nah, it's fine. Take away those tokens because don't worry about it. But they're a really good company. So if you want to if you want to test it out, they're a great company to do it for.
Yeah.
But you can also support the show directly by going to patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Carados. Doing this podcast, I learned I'm so bad at pronunciating stuff. And now when I read words, I'm always like questioning myself if that's the way to pronounce it. But anywho, thank you so much for supporting the show. We can't thank you enough. It's super awesome. You guys have been the best. I always have some ideas for the show, but sometimes I'm a little over ambitious. But for 2020, we got some cool plans in store. But Magpie, you had a survey you threw out there just this week. You want to talk about
actually.
that?
So the survey is still going on. We're probably looking to wrap it up by December the 31st. So pretty much you have until the end of the year to take part. It is a quick survey to let us know your thoughts on the show, what we can do better. It's really short. It's 3 main questions and then 3 follow-up questions basically saying, okay, what do you think about that after each big question? But there's also a bond giveaway that I'm doing. So if you want, you can put in your Discord name at the end of the survey. It's totally optional. If you want it to be anonymous, you don't have to. But if you'd like to enter for the bond giveaway, just put in your Discord name. I'll basically pull a name out of a hat and give one lucky entrant a free bond in game. We've already gotten a bunch of responses, which is really nice. A lot of really cool, really insightful comments, some good suggestions. Some person said, a couple people said that they can hear like us clicking sometimes. One person thought it was us in game, but sometimes it's honestly just a matter of we have to pull up certain things or we have to pull up the news blog, or like if we need to compare, like we did the rapier or something, to the new Inquisitor's mace, we sometimes have to like do a bunch of clicking to get around there. But other than that, like a couple of really helpful tips and things that we can look out for, as well as how to better structure the show for next year and, you know, things to come. So instead of having longer episodes, maybe you guys want more frequent, shorter episodes, things like that. Just let us know what you think. Super quick survey.
Yeah, there's a little thing that annoys you. Let us know, because I remember a couple years ago, someone wrote how they hated when like myself or Deegan would like burp into the mic. I guess we used to do that a lot. And yeah, it was something I was like, oh, I didn't realize that would be like, some people actually hated that. Yeah, I just wasn't aware of it. And since then, I'll be damned if you find a burp popping up on the on the show.
Oh shit. Hell yeah. So yeah, just give us your feedback.
Like
Let us
clicking.
know.
Yeah, like even the clicking allows me to be more aware of that's annoying. Because I can usually cut it out. I usually do a good job, but sometimes I get a little lazy and I'm like, oh, I'll let the clicking slide. Who's gonna notice it? And it turns out a lot of people are like, God damn it, they're sitting there like listening to it and they just hear like you talking and I'm just like,
yeah.
Sorry guys, I'm just fletching.
Oh, one more inventory. Sorry. Keep going. Keep reading the poll blog. I'm just one inventory. Okay, 86 fletching. Nice.
Text me when you're done.
Yeah. But that is pretty much it. Feel free to take the survey. Again, I will probably be closing it up around the 31st of December. Other than that, that's pretty much it for me. Happy holidays for everyone.
Hell
Merry
yeah.
Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate Hanukkah. Basically, enjoy the festive spirit.
That's right. And if you want to hang out with us in game, you can do that by joining the clan chat at Wild CC. There's always some fine folk hanging out there, so you can come join them. You can also get in touch with us on Twitter at The Wilderness RS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/thewildernesspodcast. Our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. I think that's it. Yeah, check out all those things. Get in touch. Join our Discord. Do all of that stuff. And yeah. So I think that's about it. Basically wraps it up for us. Our song of the week is going to be Mirage. Last week I played Hypnotize, which is unlocked in one of the pyramids during the Ixthlaren's Little Helper quest. I thought it was cool that when you go revisit the pyramid, the song changes to Mirage. So we're gonna play that one. And the analysis, I always love when they have an analysis. Unlike the soundtrack, Hypnotized, this song is more of a good feel that you are now working on the correct side. It goes at medium tempo. The song changes focus from percussion of vocals to strings to winds, all very rapidly before repeating. Crazy analysis. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Nope, just gonna chill out to some tunes. If you want to take it away.
Sweet. Well, thanks guys for listening. This is our Christmas episode. Hopefully this is out before Christmas. So Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa.
You want to change up the music to a more Christmas theme?
You know what? That probably makes a lot of sense. I just did the analysis though. What's a Christmassy song?
Sea Shanty Xmas, I think.
Oh, sick. It's funny. We had to do I posted in the Discord, but we had to do PSAs in these groups for we had this charity assignment for our school. We had to do like a radio PSA, and this guy was writing it, and he was like trying to figure out a song to put. And he's like, I can't find a song that works. And I was like, try this one. And I did the RuneScape music, Christmas music. And he was like, dude, that's perfect.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, if you want, you can do like the login menu Xmas theme for the intro of this episode and then finish it up with Sea Shanty Xmas.
I'll try. We'll see. I'm going to be doing this off my laptop and ain't the greatest, but we'll see what we can do. Sea Shanty Xmas. So this is a music track initially unlocked during 2013 Christmas event. It is automatically unlocked during every subsequent Christmas event. By the way, subsequent, I hate that word so much. I had to MC a Remembrance Day, and I have a terrible public speaking is a huge fear of mine. It's a huge fear of a lot of people, but like I like tremble when I'm talking in front of like my class and stuff, and it's even though I'm fine doing it on a microphone and whatnot. Just a weird thing I have. But I was emceeing a Remembrance Day. I started emceeing more events because I want to try to get over this fear. And I practiced the word subsequent so many times. And then when I did it for the Remembrance Day event, I was like subsequent, and I messed it up like 6 times in a row. Before I was like and I just kind of like slurred a word and moved on. Fucking hate that word.
Happens. Yeah, accessibility is my pet peeve word because I lost a spelling bee once to it. I came second.
What word?
Accessibility.
Oh, accessibility.
Yeah.
I can see that. A lot of
I don't know why I said it like that, like accessibility, but
I thought you said like some word Bodie, and I was like, oh,
yeah, 73.
That's funny. That's ended. That's a great way to end the podcast and possibly the year.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you next episode, guys.
Yep. Take it easy.
Have a fantastic December 25th, whatever you're doing that day. Have fun.